There's something really powerful in doing hard things. I don't think it's good to go from nothing for 3 days to just chowing down.
I can't get like a 72-ounce tomahawk.
I don't think so.
To celebrate.
There's so many things that are like that are like hard at first, and then at some point you're like, it's a little easier than I thought.
We are back, OSPTV, Season 2, if you can believe that, with a little bit new brand, right? So the business of the business, catering to the business that we're in, right? And I'd like to introduce, our co-host, co-pilot, first mate, whatever you want to call it. He goes by the commish, also known as Chris Bradley. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. And I'd love to introduce our special guest. Super excited to have this gentleman on the show. We call him the man, the MIG, the legend, Chris Migner. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, hello.
First off, how was your gentleman's holidays, by the way? Santa, was he good to you guys?
Santa was great.
Santa was great.
Got everything I asked for.
I'm surprised you didn't get any coal.
Oh, yeah. Great. Good holiday. We did it at the beach.
So jealous.
We don't have that luxury up here.
Right. Glad to have you. We're excited to learn more about you and your experiences to share with the audience. First off, let's just jump right into it, right? So, Mr. Migner, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where do you come from?
Yeah, I'm born and raised outside of Boston, Massachusetts.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And I grew up there. Upbringing's a little untraditional. I didn't go to school until 16. My first classroom was a college classroom.
Wow.
Really? So were you homeschooled?
It was, a version of homeschool. It was really called unschooling, which is whatever you're interested in, study that. Learn about it. Tons of freedom to do. Yeah.
I feel like I missed out for so long. I'm so intrigued and jealous right now. I would have been studying football, sports, golf, Tiger Woods,
and football.
How was that?
It was good. I think I'm grateful for it now. I think the thing I'm most grateful for is that it taught me how to learn on my own and to continue to learn throughout life. It left some gaps where there's some things that everybody knows that I missed.
Interesting. My mind's just spinning right now, right? Because I would see so many advantages. One of the maybe deficits would be the integration into like social settings, which is hilarious that you ended up in a sales role. Right. Well, I mean, what was it like when you finally did go to a university?
Yeah, it was. I played sports with the school in my town growing up. So I played on the high school basketball team, which I think helped. And I wonder if subconsciously I may have gotten into sales to improve some of those, interpersonal and communication skills.
That would make sense. A lot of dots are connecting now. That's so cool. So then you went to school. What did you study?
So first class was at Harvard at 16, psychology.
No big deal.
Right.
And most of that was, it was their night school, right? So it was their same Harvard professors, but it wasn't as challenging to get into. And I did it for 2 years while working, and then moved to a state school about 30 minutes down the road because it was a 70-30 female to male ratio that at that time was...
Law of averages.
What was your first job, just out of curiosity?
Grocery store.
Likewise. Yeah. When I was 16, I had a project interview for school, and one of my buddies, his parents owned a grocery store, and so I went and interviewed as a project with him, and I actually ended up getting a job offer before I left.
My least favorite job growing up was working at Meijer. It was awful. I'm way too ADHD to be a cashier and stand there. beep, beep. Wasn't for me.
Yeah. I grew up in a small town. It was population, I think less than 1,000 people. They put a street light in, maybe when I was, high school age. And there was one grocery store in the town over. So jobs, didn't have tons of options. And this grocery store was one where you had to bring the customer's cart all the way out into the parking lot, unload the groceries into their car, and there was a huge sign that said no tips accepted.
Yes.
So you'd have people that would go, here's the,
Same.
you just couldn't do it.
Same.
And you didn't take them?
No.
You couldn't do it.
I would definitely be taking them.
Couldn't. You just had the fear that somebody was watching.
It reminds me, we had this small town grocery store growing up called Bueller's, right? And when they would bag your groceries, they would put them in these little bins, right? And they would put them on this like conveyor belt. And you would go out to your car and you'd pull up and there was a drive-through. Oh. And you would hand them a ticket with your number on it, and they would put your groceries in the back of your vehicle.
Wow.
I mean, it's so crazy,
Old school
as we
click list.
How did we have that back then? We don't now. I would love to not have to carry groceries in the car in January in Detroit.
It's true.
Okay, so when we weren't schooling, when we weren't in college, what was some hobbies? What's Migner's favorite pastimes when you're not learning, selling, developing?
Like current? Or
Yeah, let's go current.
let's see. I'm a big podcast guy. I got that Spotify, end of year sort of warped or whatever they call it, where and the amount of hours that I clocked with podcasts this year was
pretty high.
Ooh, I think it was. It may have been. It was over 10,000 hours.
Oh,
So
wow.
It was,
Whoa.
That's impressive. Who are you on right now? Or who would you recommend? One of those two.
Let me give you 5 I like. I like Impact Theory. That's one recently that I've really gotten a lot out of. Andrew Huberman's podcast. That's been really helpful. Joe Rogan's is one I like for sure. And then Alex Hormozy's, I like his.
You've sent me some of his.
Yep.
He's good. Mm-hmm. He's really good.
What else? I'm trying to think what else was on there. PBD podcast, I like that one too.
CB, you're a big podcast guy. Who you on right now?
Yeah, most of the podcasts I listen to are more entertainment in the entertainment industry. So, or sports, so there's a few golf podcasts. We're going to plug them, I guess. Foreplay. There's a Star Wars podcast, Children of the Watch. That's a good one I listen to. But I think the one that I really like right now, it's called Smartless, and it's with Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes, and they have guests on every week.
Nice.
So it's a really cool podcast.
My thought with podcast, or I think that when you spend time around people that are far along in whatever area you want to get, it helps. And so the fact that we live in a world now where podcasts are an opportunity to do that, if you live in a city or town, there's a certain amount of people there, but we all have access to some awesome minds and brains. So I love it.
100%. So, okay. Version of homeschooling, psychology in college, worked at a grocery store, bam, direct sales. How'd you end up here?
Bam. Yeah, it was school was psychology and then business. And my mom was a therapist, dad was a lawyer. And I think from a young age, I wanted to do well in business. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I wanted something that wasn't dead end, something that I could, do well, make a lot of money. And so I was always interested growing up, in sort of the way companies advertised, why they did it the way they did it, who they were trying to target. And so that piece of things interested me. And I think sales and marketing, I think some people I'd asked, they said, if you want to do that, you want to be the person that's creating, big advertising campaigns, you need to understand sales from the ground floor.
Right.
And I didn't have any experience. I remember applying places where they said, go do something for a couple of years and get back to us. And it's funny. So I worked at this grocery store throughout college, and go figure, they actually put me through school. Believe it or not, a grocery store paid to
Hear that, youngsters? Get a job.
I don't think that's happening these days. I don't know if that is, but it's, they ended up moving me to a store that was, they had a little catering division in the store. And the end of the year, our numbers had doubled from the year before. And they said, and I was expecting, maybe a pat in the back, a raise, something.
Right.
We sat down at the one annual meeting, and they said, great job. Last year was, we grew so much. Because of that, we're going to move you to the store that was 2.5 hours away from my home.
Oof.
And it was nothing, no raise, no growth. And there was one role really above mine, and the guy had been doing it for 15 years. And it was just frustrating. I'm like, if I'm working hard, if I'm putting a lot of effort, I want to find some place where if I do that, it pays dividends.
Right.
And so when I started in sales, those elements of the effort you put in is what you get out of it. Those stuff, especially where I was right then and there, was like music to my ears.
Okay. Everybody always has something they're good at and struggles with in our business. What were yours in the beginning?
Let's see. I think I struggled with a lot of things. I think self-doubt was one. I'm one of those people that I'm comfortable in a setting with people I know pretty well.
Right.
And and probably some of this is upbringing, right? Like where if I'm in a new setting, new job, new school, those social situations are more challenging. And so sales and interacting with strangers. was tough at first. But one thing that's awesome is that when you give anything enough time and effort, you can change those things so quickly.
For sure.
I mean, it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was once a similar thing that I struggled with as well, as dealing with all the strangers and kind of overcoming that initial embarrassment. Kind of, it's like and you got to get through it. But through your experiences and obviously overcoming those challenges, what's one common character trait that you've seen among the leaders within our industry?
That's good. It's always so interesting year over year to see people that are so different that can win.
True.
I think things in common, effort, like there's no shortcut for that. You got to put effort. And then character, how people treat people. I think, long term that makes a big, big difference. And I think how big people think. And probably the last one I would say is I think that there's, a lot of people think that the way they are is the way they are, and it's fixed. If they're good at something, they're good at it. If they're not, they're not, and they can't change it. And so I think when people think that too much, they don't put themselves out of their comfort zone. They don't try new things. Developing a growth mindset where you just, believe that, hey, if I put in enough effort into whatever it is that I want to learn and get better at, and then you add time, it happens.
Well, it's so interesting. You said that, and I can relate to somebody that used to be shy around strangers, hated public speaking, and came to this industry. And that's kind of what I gathered from you. Like, when you get in your circle, you're comfortable around that, but, new job and stuff like that. And it's interesting, for those of you who don't know, Mr. Migner ran his own sales and marketing company and had a ton of success over a decade. I mean, hell, we've known each other, 13 years, I think now. Mm-hmm. And when you came to OSP almost a year ago, you kind of just took the company by storm, hit the ground running, quickly developed the nickname, the man, the MIG, the legend. and you oversee our Verizon campaign. What is it that you love about what you do here at OSP and specifically on the Verizon campaign?
Let's see. A lot. I love seeing people make progress. Like one of the things I probably value most overall is growth, whether that's personal growth, seeing a business grow, progress, seeing progress within people. And so there's too many people in the world that I just don't think are reaching their potential and are pushing to do it. And I think there's something pretty magical about putting 10, 15, 20 people in an environment where it is cool, it is socially acceptable to want to think big, to set goals, to work really hard, and it's refreshing. Yes, that's some of the things I like.
Nice. So obviously you're spearheading the Verizon campaign. It's a new channel for us, or a new partner with us. Very exciting to work with a brand like that. What type of sales agent are you looking for to really grow this campaign?
I think it's a lot of the intangibles. I think that it's someone that's got, a mindset that is glass half full. It is someone that has, can put their ego in their back pocket. Someone that doesn't know what they don't know, and they're okay with it. And they're going to ask questions, and they're going to be curious, and they're going to work hard, and people that want to compete.
Yeah. Competition's key. I think the last time we were together, at OSP, we ended up in a flag football tournament at Ford Field with the Lions. And it was all a bunch of us older gentlemen. We're going to take it easy. We'll go. Oh, yeah. I just want to catch a ball at Ford Field. I think within 5 minutes it got ugly.
Very quickly, it was apparent we needed to win that thing.
Showed us throwing out spin moves. You got touchdown celebrations. I think competitiveness in our business and sales and business in general, it's something we don't talk about enough. And speaking of sales, there's a quickly growing movement or opinion that you're the best salesperson in OSP. So I would love to hear, what is it that you focus on, or what is it that you have to do to be great at sales? Like if you had to give somebody some advice out there that might be looking for a career in sales, or is struggling in sales, or wants to go to the next level in sales, what would it be? Because whenever people go with you, they're literally like mind blown, but also at the same time say, he just makes it look very simple.
Mm-hmm. So before I go there, the touchdown you had in the championship game at Ford Field, that juke move, that was nice.
Yeah, sports top 10.
I couldn't walk for a week afterwards, but we don't got to talk about that.
That was nice. Okay, so my view on sales, I think a couple of things that I think can help anybody. One is my view on it is I'm thinking about helping people. I think sales gets a bad name from people that want to manipulate, take advantage, trick. Like it's just, I think if you go into a sales interaction, like I need to win them over to my way of thinking. I think people feel that. Like people really can feel your intention. And so I approach every sales scenario where I'm trying to help a customer.
Right.
And help doesn't mean save them money. It could be, it could just give them value. It could be to educate them. It could be to build a relationship. So I think that's what I would go first. That's my thought process in the beginning. Helping people. That's one. Two, I think there's a term called selling hot, which is just like the idea of over-promising, embellishing, and I try to do the opposite. Under-promise, over-deliver, do a lot of listening, more listening than I do talking.
I was literally going to say that, but you already hit it. You're a great 100%. Listener. I think a lot of people in sales, they think you got to be a talker. The best salespeople are the best listeners.
That was one of the first things that I was taught as a salesman, besides being like your job or your role as a salesperson is to be a problem solver. It is the best salesmen do the less talking. They do the most listening. They're listening to what their customers, what their needs are.
Yeah. And I think, and when you do talk, like a lot of times when maybe we're training a new sales agent, it's how can I say the most impactful thing with the least amount of words? Because you just get such a small time with a client or prospective customer to win over their business. So I think the more you can get across with less, the more sales you're going to make.
And sometimes I think it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. There's something to that. Mm-hmm. I think that there is also with sales. I think that people, one of the things that's led to my success in the industry and personally in selling is that everybody sets a bar of what they think good looks like. And way too many people set that bar way, way too low.
Yeah.
And so I think if everybody's a little bit different, but I think setting a bar really high and having some good short-term memory, but you can't get complacent. You got to push yourself, and maybe that's competing with other people. Maybe that's competing with yourself to just consistently get better. Sales, there's a skills to it for sure. Yeah. I think anybody that says there isn't, there is. It's learnable. Anybody can. But it's continually to, master that craft and tinker and just get better at it.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, obviously we're growing your division right now. You've got all of your experience, now, from the outside and now obviously inside. How important is structure and standards when you're trying to grow an organization?
Yeah, I think we're growing a lot. It's been fun. This year I think we've maybe doubled, maybe tripled the business. And it's exciting. That's, so standards and structure, both. I think if you want to scale, you got to have some structure. And it's funny because I actually, by nature, I don't love structure. I think I like a lot of autonomy and freedom. I don't like rules. I'm not a rule follower. And so it's a battle sometimes. It's like, I know I'm best with some structure, right? And I think in business you need it, especially if you want to do big things. And then standards for sure. I made the mistake of my first really probably 5+ years in the industry of sales of not doing that. And as soon as I turned that corner and really realized how much better things could be, I would never go back. And part of that, it's a mindset. It's, I think at first I felt like pushing people to do more wasn't nice. And the way I look at it now and have for a while is that if you really care about people, you are going to push them for things that are in their best interest.
Right. Very well said. I think the Verizon campaign obviously is newer. It's the future. If you were your 20, 25-year-old self again, what should they be excited about? What's coming in 2024, which is obviously right around the corner? What are some things that the team should be excited about?
Yeah, it's exciting. There's a lot. Right now we've got the ability to sell Verizon's internet product, sell their mobility wireless product, and we're getting really good at it. This year was kind of the figuring that out.
Yeah.
What works, what doesn't, scrap this, more of this, less of that. And we're moving. Verizon's spending, they're making a big investment into their 5G infrastructure in the U.S. And so we're going to have opportunities to get into a ton more cities than we're already in. And that's a brand that is pretty easy. I think being able to sell, like we talked about earlier, has a lot to do with your skill and your effort and your will. But it's nice to represent a brand that's got a lot of credibility, and it just makes it easier to get those wins early.
Yeah. The OG has a request: warm weather cities.
Yeah.
We need more warm weather cities. But super excited there. You know, shifting gears a little bit. Obviously, you know, you had a ton of success early on in your career. Decided to take some time away. Obviously, ended up back in the industry. What brought you back?
Good question. You know, my step away was nothing to do with the industry at all. It had everything to do with me.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I had some areas of my life that I had neglected, which had nothing to do with what I was doing. I think people neglect areas of their life regardless.
Which says a
of
lot.
what you're
People,
doing.
you know, not pushing blame. You know, everybody always wants to blame something. There's a significant other in their job, you know.
And it's not.
Right.
And I think the more people do that, they get in their own way of getting where they want to go. You know, I think when you blame and put things on people, places, things, it just puts more steps between kind of owning your own shit and doing something about it. So for me, it was one of them was health. I was like probably 100 pounds overweight. I didn't like the way I looked in the mirror.
I remember when you showed up, I believe it was kickoff. I almost didn't recognize you because it'd been what, like 7, 8, 9 years since I'd seen you. I literally, I think Bassam or somebody was like, oh, Chris Migner's here or something like that. And I was like, where?
Less of me was there.
Good for you. Good for you.
So that was one. Two, but it wasn't just that. There was, my dad passed away. And I think that, you know, I just needed to get me right. And so I did like a total 180. I unwound in some areas. I did a lot of travel. I did a lot of yoga. I did a lot of bike riding. I did a lot of hiking. I did some photography and some reading, and just got myself into a place where I felt like I was in a really good place to attack that next thing.
So on that same topic, you know, when we first met, you had mentioned that, you know, you had done a dry January, which I'm familiar with. And, you know, as the months kind of went on, you continued going on it, you know, you kept running it back, which is great. But, you know, that's not the only thing, right? You know, you've got a few other things going on. So what was your motivation for living, you know, a little bit more of a holistic lifestyle?
Mm-hmm. I think, you know, let's see. It's funny. Sometimes things start one way and then they move in different ways. So if I'm being honest, I think it was probably two or three things at first. It was one, my dad being sick, dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer, you know, same family, all that stuff, you know, like, I think that stuff kind of shook me, right?
Sure.
And then some of it was just my self-confidence and wanting more options in the dating pool, you know, like if I'm being honest at first.
100%.
Like, at first. And then it really kind of, you know, now it's like,
Just went down a rabbit hole.
It's
funny. Like we were in the truck the other day and Brittany found a creatine packet and was like going to throw. First she was like, "What is this?" And she was like going to throw it away. She's like, "Why do you have this?" I was like, "Migner takes them. Don't throw it away. I'm going to order it off Amazon." Because I always trust what he's taking, whether it's a vitamin, creatine packets, you know, you name it. You know, what advice would you give people out there that are looking maybe to live a healthier lifestyle? Like, where do they even start?
Yeah, I think to get like, I was really, really uneducated in the beginning.
Yeah.
And for me, everybody might be a little different. For me, if I understand something, it's helpful for me. If I don't understand it, it's hard for me to stick with something. So that was is one. Two, for me, and maybe for other people out there too, I've tried in the past to get a big wave of motivation. Like New Year's is coming up, right? So that's one where people do, and they go balls to the wall. I'm going to do this, that, the other, and they bite off way more than they can chew. And I've done that, where I'll do something great, but I'll do it for a day or a week or two, and then I revert right back to the same old I was doing. And so for me, it was really helpful to start small and build habits. So an example, beginning of this year, me and a buddy, we started doing push-ups every day. But we started with one push-up.
Okay.
What day are you on?
And so this was January 1st. So it was, the idea was January 1st was one push-up, which that wasn't too hard for me to muster up the energy to do that.
Yeah.
January 2nd was 2, then 3, then 4, until the end of the month.
Right.
And next month, it was, I'm going to pick something else. But at that point, I've already built the habit. We're going and doing, some push-ups wasn't daunting. So I think starting small with whatever it is, my mindset shifted. Like, instead of do something extreme for a short amount of time, it's the way I think about any change is, how can I take some steps in a direction of doing something that I can do for the rest of my life or for the foreseeable future? And that's helped me and works for me.
Yeah, I think, why we're on it, it's that time of the year. New Year's resolutions are in. You see them on Instagram, you see them, on Facebook. Yeah, I mean, you see them everywhere, right? I know Shota lives in the gym like 8 days out of the week. And he gets frustrated this time of the year because, the average Joes show up for their annual January, February, New Year's resolution, new me. And I'd always been taught, some time ago, I don't know where it came from, but I think a lot of leaders and successful people teach, like, don't wait till January 1st, right? Like, what's the difference if you start December 25th, or why not start in November? And I got to a point where, similar to you, I was, having to buy a size larger shirt and pants, and would get out of breath going up the stairs. And I think it was back in July. I was like, screw it. I'm going to just start right now. Because if I don't, I'll end up getting to a point where it's like, oh, I'm going to start in January with the rest of the average Joes out there. And I picked actually doing something that I hate, probably more than anything, which is funny that I played wide receiver in college, and I hate running. Couldn't get a quarter of a mile without taking a break. Was out of breath. Here we are, December. We're still about 3 days a week outside, mind you. I think I'm up to about 4 miles at a time. But I think there's the health benefits, but there's the confidence, there's the mentality, because it's like, if I can go run 4 miles and it's 38 degrees outside, it's not really that hard to do anything else. And I think something to take from that is, I look forward to it now, actually, in some weird sadistic way. But it's like, if you can train yourself to, enjoy something that you've always hated, it goes to say how easily you can actually implement a hobby, or a habit, I should say, if you put your mind to it, right? And you stick to it. And that's what a lot of amateurs do, right? They you said this earlier, they'll start and they'll do New Year's resolution. They'll be done by February and do anything. In fact, I could argue it does worse, right? And number 2 advice I would give would be, don't wait, because if you wait, you're starting when everybody else starts. And growing up, if I could get a head start on anybody, you'd dream of that. You know what I mean? That's my 2 cents on the whole New Year's resolution thing. CB, you got any New Year's resolutions on deck for us?
Yeah, I've got a couple. Well, one, I guess they can kind of be looped in the same thing, but really my big focus for 2024 is just having a more disciplined and strict budget when it comes to, finances, but also having a smart investment strategy and making my money work for me. So that's really kind of my focus right there.
Touche.
Yep.
Let's chat.
Yeah, let's do it.
Migner's quickly kind of become the finance guru around here.
I love it. But yeah, I prepped last month for 2024. So I got, I wrapped up, got the rest of this year planned out, and got all of 2024 ready to go. And if I really wanted to, I could do 2025. Like that's how meticulous I have with it. But yeah, man, like that's really what I'm focusing on this upcoming year.
Beautiful. And Mig, I know you talked about, obviously you took some time away, self-developed, and you perform at a very high level, and I think that when a lot of people think of maybe development or health, they think of, gym, running, reading a book. What are some of the things that you do that make you the best version of you?
Mm-hmm. So I started, I'll talk about last year, because that's the way I'm thinking about of going into 2024. So last year, beginning of the year, drinking was the thing I wanted to cut out. Right, it just wasn't serving me. I'm not saying for everybody, but for me, it wasn't working. And so I wanted to cut that out, and I wanted to add something in.
Okay.
So I've always told myself, or it's been difficult for me to pick up a book. I've got to really it's not the thing I'm excited to do. And so this year we're in, the tail end, is the year I've read more than I've read any year leading up to this in my life. And so it's to the point now where it's something I look forward to. It's something that's super easy to maintain. And so my plan moving forward is, and maybe this is year to year, maybe it's month to month, but it's what is something I can take out of my life that isn't serving me or that isn't going to get me closer to the person I want to become in the future? And what's one thing I can add in that's going to help me get there to the point where it's habitual? And so that's the way I'm looking at next year. I've got a list of a handful of things that don't serve me that I'd like to work on kicking out. And I've got a handful of things that I want to build into the arsenal. And so I think sometimes people make the mistake of, if you New Year's resolutions tend to be around I got to quit this bad habit, quit smoking, quit drinking, quit eating junk food, right? It's always stop, stop, stop. And sometimes, it's whether it's tricking your brain or not, but it's for me, what a lot of times works is I'm going to focus on what I want to add in, not just what I want to get out. But I think if you take those steps of remove something bad, add something good, and you could do that. Imagine if you could do that next year, and you do it again the year after, and you do it again the year after. 5 years from now, you might be unrecognizable.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my plan is to do that, and brick by brick, step by step, work towards being the optimal version of me.
Awesome. Love that for you. And I'm going to turn it over, us gentlemen are a little bit older here. We always like to have a segment where we, bring Shota in on what's trending out there. He's obviously a marketing guru, a little bit younger than us, aging fine wine gentleman over here.
Just a little bit.
Shota, what do we got going on out there right now?
Well, before we move on, I wanted to add on to what Mick was saying. He made a really good point. It's not just taking bad things out, but adding good things in. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that, because something that helped me a lot was the way you word things too. It's okay, I'm going to cut out Coke. But instead of saying it like that, it's okay, I'm just going to drink water. So it's the way you change it, the way you change your brain and how you think about things and about the habits that you want to add into your life. It's I'm only going to drink water. So now that you're only drinking water, it's going to start adding to other habits that you have in life. It's okay, if I'm only drinking water, I know I'm doing something healthy. Why would I eat this cheeseburger? Why would I eat this fried chicken if I'm just drinking water and I'm being healthy on the beverage side? I might as well be healthy on the food side too. So I think doing one small thing ends up creating like a domino effect or a snowball effect into adding more and more good habits into your life. Like for me, it was going to the gym. So I'm going to the gym every day. I might as well just drink water or drink water with electrolytes, you know? So it's like those little habits create a huge domino effect. So I think it's just like how you word it in your head makes a huge difference. But
Shota, I want to double tap that for a second.
Yeah.
For me, that's a huge difference. I don't like feeling like I'm limiting myself. And so it's funny when I'll say stuff like that example, no soda, it's in my mind is soda.
now it's a negative thing.
Soda.
Right.
And
No.
Yeah.
And so there's something for me that's powerful in I'm choosing to do this instead. And whether it's a trick for my brain or not, it's so much easier. The idea of limiting things makes me feel like, who's telling me I can't do this, right? Like I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being, told what I can and can't do. So for me, that helps a lot of just, choosing the things I want to do as opposed to just going, I'm not allowed to have this,
Yeah.
Right, because it's turning that negative thought into something positive. It's like instead of saying I can't do it, it's like I'm going to do this instead. So I think that makes a huge difference. But yeah, so I really liked what you were saying. But since we're on the topics of those New Year's resolutions, I have a quick quiz for you guys. In 2023, this year, what do you think was America's top New Year's resolutions? Like the top three. What would you say?
My guess would be less screen time on a phone.
Give me three though. Give me three.
3.
Yeah. So that's one. That's a good one.
Obviously, exercising
And no smoking.
and no smoking.
Only one of those was in the top three.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. So I got a little bit of an advantage. I'm going to go, I'm going to put exercise in at 1. I'll put a financial one at number 2, saving money or spending less money, something budget related. And I'm going to throw, only one of those is in the top 3.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Eating healthy?
That's actually number 2. So the thing is with number 1 and number 3, I think they kind of like go hand in hand with each other, but I can kind of see why they also split it up. The money saving one was number 4. Let me actually show you guys the chart. So to exercise more was number 1. To eat healthier was number 2, and to lose weight was number 3. So some people, you can lose weight.
Those are combined.
For sure. That's what I was thinking at first too, but you can lose weight without exercising more. If that makes sense.
So I was going to say spend less time on social media, but I just said the phone in general.
Yeah, I think that was kind
Dustin, one on that screen time thing you were talking about. One of the things I did last month, which was really neat. I'm surprised it worked as well as it did. In the morning, on my phone, I put this grayscale thing on where you just double tap and it turns it to black and white.
You were telling me.
It is. It's interesting how much easier it is to resist picking up the phone when there's no color. Like, it's just funny that it's
interesting.
Like, it's small, but it's so easy for me to kind of get in the zone and just put it to the side.
I can already hear if Brittany watches this. You need to download that so he's not on your phone.
Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about, since eating healthier is number 2, I think that's something we started talking about recently, was starting a fasting journey, a 3-day water fasting journey. And we all know about Dana White. Look at this transformation right here. So he did an 86-hour water fast. So you don't eat anything, you just drink water. I think they have electrolytes. I don't know what he did, but I know we agreed we were going to do, was it water, electrolytes, and bone broth, and coffee.
72 hours.
72 hours.
I think we start, Monday?
Yep.
Monday.
Bradley, you doing it?
Nah. I haven't committed to that one. No.
I got the dust stare from Amir when I was hesitant.
Has anyone done a fast before?
I've been intermittent fasting since I think I started in March, where I don't eat. I typically eat dinner at 7 or 8, and I won't eat again till typically after 1 o'clock. but I've never done anything like this.
What was the longest you went in between?
Probably 19 hours.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, and you know, this is going to be a different animal though. I think it's day one. All you're allowed is black coffee and water with electrolytes, right?
And bone broth.
Not day one.
Oh, not day one.
Day one, no.
Yeah.
Day two, you're allowed 2 meals per se of bone broth with still electrolytes, water, and coffee.
To introduce the sodium.
Yeah. And then day 3 is kind of the same thing. Now, Amir's talking about going 5 days if he feels like he's up to it. You know, because the health benefits of it are insane, which you probably know more than me.
I pulled it up right here.
You know, so outside of this, you know, 6-pack we're hoping to get.
So I think I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun challenge. I've done I've done some intermittent fasting for sure, 24-hour fasts. I've never done a 72-hour. And you know, I'm looking for every time I do something that is hard for me, like there's something really powerful in doing hard things. And for me, I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to the challenge day 2, to the, you know, just pushing through. But it's gonna be
I'm gonna be a
fun
savage this weekend. We have a text message and everything. What's it called? Team discipline.
Team discipline.
I feel like if you're gonna go hard in the paint this weekend, you are gonna be hurting come Monday and Tuesday.
Well, I feel like I'm gonna be hurting.
Probably ought to do some prep work for that.
One thing.
Who's the most likely to bow out?
Oh, that's a good one.
Wafa's in it? Oh, yeah. Wafa's got to be like minus 500 in that.
That's easy money.
One thing we got to figure out is how we break the fast. You know, I think there's like a way you got to break it. I don't think it's good to go from nothing for 3 days to just chowing down.
I can't get like a 72-ounce tomahawk.
I don't think so.
To celebrate.
I think you got to like
2 pieces of that.
break it slowly or with like a very light. I mean, it's easy.
Easy.
We got to figure that out.
Easy to digest.
We'll have time to think about that. We'll have 72 hours to figure out what
to really
that's going
just
to be.
think about it.
Yeah, plenty of time, right?
How am I going to break this fast?
Might be
Bradley?
going to bed every night at like 6 o'clock just so I'm not even awake for it.
What do you think is going to be the hardest part about it? About fasting?
Everything.
I really think
Waking up Monday and having to start.
I think sleeping is going to be the hardest part for me. It's like going to sleep hungry. It's like,
Yeah.
I was just thinking
It's
about
like
that.
man, just all you're thinking about all night long. Is just,
So my fear is, you know, me and Brittany did a cleanse a couple years back where it was literally 5 days, nothing but raw vegetables, 1 protein meal a day, no sugars, no, just oil and vinegar. And I remember by like day 3, just driving by fast food places, like my mouth would start watering, like, and I would just, you know, follow them as we drove. This you don't even get food.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fast. I've never done anything this long. I think the longest I ever did was probably like a 19-hour fast. It was intermittent fasting, so I think that was like my longest one. But I do remember like the first few days are really hard, but once you get past that, you just kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets like more exciting after a while.
There's so many things that are like that, you know,
Right,
that are like
right.
hard at first, and then you hit at some point, and you're like, this is a little easier than I thought.
It's like any good habit you're trying to build.
I love that we're doing it together. Like,
Right.
to me, there's something about, I've been wanting to do a 72-hour one. You know, like I'm like, it sounds like a great idea. And then it's easy to talk myself. It's not a good time this week, next week. I could put that off, you know, indefinitely. And so the fact that we're doing it together and there's some camaraderie, accountability,
I'm terrified.
competition, whatever. I think that's
I wish you all the best of luck.
Thanks,
I'll
Chris.
be cheering you on every day of those 3 days.
no sabotage.
No sabotage. Oh no, I'm on
So
your
you'll
team.
see me day 1 and then you'll see me day 3.
Okay.
You know, Chodo, you'll knock this out. You're a beast.
I hope so. I was actually planning on starting today until I was asked, what are we eating for lunch? And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can skip out.
Bassam started today.
I heard, yeah. I texted him too. I was like, are you actually fasting today? He said, yes. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So as we wind this thing down, we're moving into 2024. I think next time I'll see you, you'll be in here for Leaders University, the 8th edition, right, where we bring all the assistant directors in. We bring people in their specific fields. Bradley runs some operations and organization stuff. We use it as a chance to prepare our assistant directors to go open up their own office. What do you think is the real impact of that? I know we attended something like that back in the day. What do you think impact it has on the guys?
I think it's good for a couple things. I think it's good to just get nuts and bolts, get information. So many people in business are in business on their own and don't have that luxury. So to be able to get time around people with a lot of, decades collectively of experience in industry, I think that's really helpful. I think the relationships they build with each other, their peers, I think that's a lot of value as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think even for CB, gets a chance for you to get to know, the assistant directors. Like they don't, they're always with the performance team. They don't see, whether it be finance, marketing, operations.
Yeah, as our business has evolved, I've taken a step back in regards to, the office visits and being up in front of all those guys. So it definitely gives me a chance to kind of break the ice with them, build a relationship with them. But kind of like what you said too, though, it's like the purpose is to be the support for them, because, a lot of those guys, they feel like they're alone. They're out on an island, but at the end of the day, they're not. We have a lot of experience and knowledge to share with them. More so to complement, it's both to share, but also to complement, because they have their own, managers that are training them and guiding them as well. So, just being able to provide an additional resource for them, is huge.
Yeah. And then, from there we go to, I can't believe I'm saying this, we're all ready to kick off 2024. Themed Do More in 2024, stealing that tagline from our special guest, Coach Larry Wade, CLW, is going to be joining us. Migner, I think that's where you first, got involved with OSP last year. It was right around kickoff. I think, you came in and observed what we had going on. What was your first impression?
I was impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if I had expectations at all. I think I kind of went into it without any. But the feeling was good. I think there's something about, my gut's right a lot of the times, and I think that's probably the way. I had a good gut feeling that that there was some really good group of people, good energy, and things were going places.
Yeah, what I really like about kickoff, obviously outside of, the normal stuff, where we reflect on the year and celebrate our wins and growth and opportunities, and we kind of set new goals and new strategies and stuff like that. Outside of that, different than maybe our national conference, kickoff is more the leadership and above. It's not for everybody. And we can really peel back the onion and kind of get into some deeper level kind of leadership development, really see where we're at for the year, is what I look forward to every year at kickoff. So, if I'm listening in and want to be there, I'm definitely, meeting with my leadership and finding out what I have to do to attend. Bradley, what do you look forward to every year at kickoff?
I look forward to, seeing, all the new faces that come in, all these new leaders that we've promoted, since NatCon in Q3 and Q4. So, seeing them come in, as well as, them just like, taking advantage of this opportunity. I know we're putting some structure together in regards to our kickoff.
Yep.
We've got a lot of cool things that we're going to be putting in place that I think are going to be beneficial for the growth of this business and the individuals that we're working with. But it's really just getting to see these new leaders that come that are coming into the business.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to be here in Detroit, the homeland of OSP, at the Motor City Casino, January 26th through the 28th. Anyone who's been to an OSP conference knows that we do them big.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of that go big or go home. look forward to definitely seeing everybody there, seeing you guys there. Migs, your first one as an official OSP family member. I know marketing's already working on it. So we're back in season 2. If you haven't already followed us, please do. OSPTV. Follow the Instagram handle, all that good stuff. We're gonna have a ton of great content for you guys in 2024. Any final messages, Mig?
Let's see. I'm looking forward to the year. It's Year of the Mamba, right? It's
Oof.
Year of the
You
Mamba.
went there. Nice. I like it. Bradley, Kamish.
I got nothing, man.
All right. Well, you
just
two
wrapping it up.
gentlemen, enjoy your New Year's. Migner, definitely appreciate you coming on the show. If year 1 is any inclination, we're going to have a fun ride here together. As always, though, we're going to end this with my team, my family, my OSP. We out of here.